Good morning. I'm Charlotte Jones, co-host of the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock on Wjzz Cool Tv. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Dr. John Telford is a former Detroit Public Schools superintendent, a former world-class athlete, conqueror of Olympic champions, a championship track coach, poet, newspaper columnist, a longtime civil rights crusader, and author of 7 books: Creative Insubordination, What Old Men Know, The Will Robinson Story, The Poetic Prancings of Mad John, The Poet Emperor of Earth, and his explosive autobiography, A Life on the Run. Plus, another upcoming poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic. His books are available on Amazon.com or by calling 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Dr. Telford has been called a legend and also a lightning rod for controversy, a recipient of the City Council Spirit of Detroit Award and the Joe Louis Foundation Spirit of the Champ Award. He was named Wayne State University's Alumnus of the Year, and a Detroit track is named for him. His email is drjohntelfordedd@aol.com. That's dr.johntelfordedd@aol.com. Dr. Telford also has a show on WCHB AM 1340 that airs on Saturdays at 9:30 in the morning and Mondays at 6:30 in the evening. That's on WCHB AM 1340, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Mondays at 6:30 p.m. And now, without further ado, I present to you that old native Detroiter, the one and only Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Charlotte Jones, author of A Ain't Always for Apple. A Ain't Always for Apple, an erotic adult alphabet book. My name is Detroit. I'm a blue-collar town. Blue salt melts my mid-March snow. Speedy cars and sprinters spring from me. I father fierce fighters and funky music. In a Motown moment, I can spit the blues right back in a bureaucrat's eye. Have you never seen blue salt? No complex chemistry here, only the old color of a new sky. And there's a new sky dawning on Detroit today because we have got Brian Peckinpah, Public Affairs Director for the Water and Sewerage Department of the Detroit City, of the City of Detroit. And we also have Alexis Ware, who is a specialist, a public affairs specialist. And we're going to be talking with them this morning on WJZZ about what is happening and some of the good things that are being accomplished in the Water and Sewerage Department. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble saying the word sewerage. And incidentally, I'm wearing this mask today because I had a failed operation at Grosse Pointe Beaumont yesterday. The anesthesiologist pierced the lining of my nose, the lining, and my nose is running like a faucet, so that's why I've got the mask on. I'm not real happy about it or comfortable about it. And also my friend Virginia Starkey, who accompanied my daughter Catherine and me to get this colostomy that I got, she fell and injured her knee. So yesterday was not a particularly good day. And also the colonoscopy didn't do any good anyway. I'm probably going to have to get it done again. But anyway, welcome Brian and welcome Alexis to the John Telford Detroit Show with Charlotte Jones.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, before we ask you some of the questions that you would like to be asked, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. Well, sorry to hear that you had a terrible day yesterday.
Oh man, it was just about the worst day of my life. But,
Yeah, that's
but
unfortunate to hear that. I hope you feel better the next few days.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a operated on. But I didn't want to disappoint you guys, and I didn't want to disappoint Mayor Duggan. So I had you on today, and this is gonna be a good show.
Well, we appreciate you using your strength to have us on today. And we've known each other for quite a while. I first encountered you, Dr. Telford, when I was at the American Red Cross.
Oh, wow.
Years ago. Many jobs for me and many jobs for you ago.
I'm too dumb to retire. I got this little job now with the Detroit Public Schools Community District. I was superintendent, under Mercy Financial Mismanagement.
Mm-hmm.
That was appointed by Mayor, the last Republican we had. But the Red Cross, what?
Yeah, so I was a public affairs and marketing manager there.
Okay.
At the time, and we had a disaster education program, and we were a partner with the school district to work with students and educate them about disasters. And then I made some other moves and started working for political elected officials as we encountered each other again when I worked with Benny Napoleon. When
Oh, my
the late
man.
Benny
I had
Napoleon,
him on my show. He was, man, what a loss. What a loss.
he was the lost
God.
Prince of Detroit.
Oh, yeah. Alexis, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first and foremost, hi. Thanks for having me on the
You
show.
bet.
I am a former reporter in the Lansing and Flint area.
Oh.
I also did some radio at WWJ.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm a public affairs specialist under Brian at DWSD.
Okay. You look awful young. You look like you should still be in high school. I don't know.
Not quite.
No, not quite. Okay, well, a year ago, the Water and Sewerage Department launched a new income-based affordability program. How does that program work?
Wait, before he does that, can you tell me what your job is at
Oh,
DWSD?
yes,
what
thank
you're
you.
doing, right?
Thank you.
I thought I said that, but okay.
No.
Yeah, I started with the years ago background. I am the public affairs director at Detroit Water and Sewage Department, so I've been there for 7 years.
Okay.
Since we split with the Great Lakes Water Authority, so I've been there quite some time, and we're responsible for community education, government relations, marketing, media relations, anything that falls under public affairs. So, as well as working with the community and council members on complaints and resolving issues in the community.
Okay, well, how does this water affordability plan that you're starting up work? Describe how that functions.
Well, I think like many during the COVID-19 pandemic, it got us thinking about a new way of looking at water affordability.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic, we had a water residential assistance program, RAP, was helping some folks, but it wasn't enough. And we realized that let's stop arguing with the water advocates. They're right. The water bill is not affordable. Let's find a way to make it more affordable for low-income households.
Amen.
Find a way to do it. So instead of going saying we only have $10 million to do affordability, what can we do with that $10 million? We said, where do we need to be? We need to have the water bill at 1.8% of the average household income for those who qualify, and let's find out how to get there. So 1.8% of the average income for the first tier of the Lifeline plan is $18. So that's all in. Water, sewage, drainage. The drainage bill for residential properties is about $20, so it's even lower than that. The average water bill for a family of two is like 80 some dollars. So to get an $18 bill per month is very significant.
So how is that being made up? Like if it was supposed to be $80 and they're only paying $18, there's a fund to regulate the rest of that?
Yeah, there is. So we decided that we would have a gap payment. So You're still charged for water, sewer, and drainage if you're in the Lifeline program, but there's federal and state and local funding that pays the gap for the difference between the actual charges and the $18 bill. And 86% of the enrollees, the households, there's 20,000 of them enrolled in Lifeline plan already, only a year in. And 86% are the $18 tier. Tier 2 is $43. Tier 3 is $56 per month. Still both much lower than the average bill. And the biggest benefit, right, is that you start at zero. So something that's been asked of DWSD for a long time is wipe out the arrears. We said we couldn't do it. It's not possible. It's not for the other customers. But we were able to get federal funding. The federal funding wiped out the arrears for those enrolled. So as soon as they get a Lifeline plan, no matter if they owe $500, $50, or $3,000, we wipe it out. Okay. They start at zero, and then $18 bill going forward.
That $10 million, that's federal money as well?
That's federal money, the $10 million. We've spent about $18 million on the program in a year through federal funding, through the Great Lakes Water Authority regional funding, and through state funding that we're working to get. So most of it's been federal funding so far, but we're working with the state on continued funding for the program.
Okay. You mentioned about the enrollment. How is the enrollment coming?
Enrollment, our goal was to get to 20,000. It was a very stretch goal because the RAP program, the original Water Assistance Program, had no more than 4,000 households enrolled in a single year. Mm-hmm. So in 6 years' time, that program was launched in 2016. It only had 20,000 households enrolled for the entire period. And it was a 2-year program. Once you did the 2 years, you were done with the RAP program. Lifeline plan doesn't have a max year amount. As long as we have funding.
About that. So it's gonna be ongoing.
Right. As long as we have funding, they're not. There's no max amount of years that they could be in it.
And as long as you qualify, your income qualifies.
Yeah, as long as your income qualify.
And how can you determine? I guess you can. How long the funding will last.
Yeah, we expect we have funding for the next 2 to 3 years. Okay. Because Governor Whitmer and the state legislature, thank goodness we have a Speaker of the House who's from Detroit, Speaker Joe Tate,
right,
and he's very supportive of this program and having a statewide program. So is Senator Chang, Stephanie Chang. So we expect at least next 3 years we're funded for this program.
Okay, because water is a human right, and we've got old people, we got children, they've been in some households without water, and it spreads disease. This is one of the things, I don't know if you've seen any of my previous shows, particularly on WCHB, but I've been hitting this thing real hard. I think maybe even a little harder sometimes than Mike wanted me to hit it, but we've got to make sure that this happens, and now you're making sure that this happens. And I signed my book to you,
I appreciate
my
that.
Life on the Run, and what I said when I signed it is thank you, Brian, for everything you've done and are doing for the city of Detroit. And I thank you, Alexis, for what you're going to be doing for the city of Detroit. How many weeks did you say you were on?
This is my 4th week.
You've been on a month.
Yep.
Okay. What other programs at the water department are available for low income citizens in Detroit?
So before I get to that, I do want to make sure that people know how to qualify or apply for the Lifeline plan. So they need to call Wayne Metro at 313-386-9727, 313-386-9727, and they can qualify. The great thing, too, is if you already have a property tax exemption through the HOPE program for Detroit, which used to be called, it's called HOPE. It used to be called HP TAP. So if you're low income, you can get a property tax exemption. You can get exemption to not pay anything, or 25% of your taxes, depends on your income level.
And I know that's not what you're here to talk about, but that program, it's just for Detroit. Are they going to open that up to other Wayne County cities? Because that's not being able to pay your property taxes doesn't just encompass Detroit. It's all over. I don't live in Detroit. I live in Harper Woods, and we have a problem with, people needing that program, and it's like it's just not out there for other Wayne County residents. So I know you're not for it. But
Well, we hope
I was just saying.
we hope that hope
Right.
is a model for other Wayne County cities and the rest of Wayne County. So
Right.
there's 12,000 households enrolled in that HOPE program. So they essentially automatically qualify for Lifeline Plan too, because they already meet the income guidelines. We're helping them get enrolled as well. So by the end of summer, we expect 25,000 households enrolled in Lifeline Plan, and we're very proud of that fact. And we haven't restarted service interruptions. The moratorium for shutoffs during COVID ended in December.
Right.
We haven't restarted them.
Thank
We are
goodness.
doing commercial
Yeah.
and industrial shutoffs for non-payment, but not residential.
Well, they can pay.
They can pay. Yeah.
Folks that you're helping can't, and
Right.
that's a good thing. You've got to keep that going. What's the acronym HOPE stand for? Is that a
I
tough question?
actually
Yeah,
don't
forget
recall.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. State your how you can be reached again.
For the DWSD Lifeline Plan, 313-386-9727.
And that's Wayne Metro, right?
That's Wayne Metro.
Okay.
You can apply through there.
And they
Or
have
you
a
can
lot
go-
of programs over there.
They sure do. They
that
do
people
wraparound
may qualify
services.
for.
Yep.
Okay, say the phone number. Say the phone number again.
313-386-9727.
313-386-9727.
That's right.
Okay, we're listening to Brian Peckinpah, the Director of Public Affairs for the Water and Sewerage Department in the Detroit City, our city, our home city, and Alexis Ware, who works with him in that program. So tell us a little bit more about what other programs, you haven't told us yet, what other programs at the Water Department are available for low-income folks.
So we're very thankful that we have a Mayor Duggan, and Director Gary Brown, who look at the water department a little differently than directors have in the past. More compassionate, not more so just on the infrastructure. So Lifeline Plan
I really think he is too. I really think
Yeah.
he is. I've had Mike Duggan out to my place in Lake St. Clair, when he was running, and we got to know each other fairly well even before then. And when my wife died, he was one of the first people to commiserate with me about that. And I'm very, very supportive of many things he's done. Some activist compañeros of mine aren't quite as supportive, but it's a tough balancing act being a mayor in a city like Detroit with all the corporate interests, and you've got to keep them happy too, and I understand that. And I've been probably one of the biggest critics, but he has to do what he has to do. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope he runs for governor. I would love to see him do that, because a little bird has told me he might not be sticking around for the next term. And then there's going to be a free-for-all for the mayoral seat. We'll see what happens with that. But anyway.
Well, for the other income-based programs, we do have, if you're enrolled in Lifeline Plan and you have high water usage, we'll do plumbing repairs up to $2,000 per house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Virginia Starkey has got the Wjzz Boutique, over at over on East Warren.
But this
I know
is for
Virginia
low.
very well.
This is
Yeah.
for low income.
This is for residential.
and low income, right?
Oh, it's for residential.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lifeline Plan is residential.
Because there's a breakage under the public sidewalk there
Right.
that they haven't come and fixed, and to to add insult to injury, a guy named, oh gosh, what is his name? He lives in the River House with us, and he's been very critical of her for on some other issues.
McIntyre?
Not McIntyre. The guy that actually works for the water department. He set up a whole bunch of stipulations that she has to meet now, and I frankly think this was political. It'll come to me before the show's over. You know, his name is slipping me for some reason. Maybe I've repressed it because he's criticized me a lot of times too. But anyway, let me get back to your questions. Okay, this is an important question here. What is the water department been doing since the flooding that hit us in June of 2021?
It's a very good question. We're almost to the 2-year mark for that rain event of June 2021. Very disastrous. Unfortunately, because of the sewer system was designed more than 100 years ago, it wasn't designed for that intense rain event. And we had to hold the sewage in people's basements. We've been public about that. That's why Mayor Duggan drove to Traverse City when he heard President Biden was going to be there a few weeks after the flooding to make sure President Biden would sign the declaration of disaster and get FEMA. So we got FEMA quickly here. They paid out over $100,000 to Detroiters that were impacted, more than we could ever have paid out in claims. But what we're doing now is assessing the sewer system. We're not able to separate. We have a combined sewer system where we collect sewage and stormwater in the same pipes. And so when there's a major rain event, it does have combined sewage in it with the sewage from the houses. But it's very costly to separate the sewer system. It would be $20 billion to separate it. Very disruptive, too, to do that across the city. So we're looking at neighborhoods where we can make improvements. We have a $40 million project in far west Detroit, which is on the southwest side. If you go to Telegraph and Warren area, by Rouge Park, we're taking a portion of Rouge Park that was underutilized and putting bioretention gardens there, retention basins. So the whole far west neighborhood, all their stormwater is being redirected into those 2 new detention basins that are being built and then filtered and then go out to the Rouge River. That removes 100 million gallons a year of stormwater out of the combined sewer system, creating more capacity for rain events. So we're looking at other areas to do that. Brightmoor is one of the other areas we're looking at.
Brightmoor, yeah.
The city does have a lot of parcels there. We are currently holding about 200 parcels and designing a project for Brightmoor similar to Far West because proximity to the Rouge River is important too, so we can direct discharge filtered stormwater into the Rouge River. And we're going to do a study on the Lower East Side, part of Jefferson Chalmers, East English Village, and Morningside. So we are looking at ways to get more climate resilient. It's going to take time. The Far West project that's under construction now took 4 years to design. We were designing it before the flooding in 2021. But we are taking a thorough approach, and because we know it's going to take time to upgrade the sewer system and produce more stormwater projects, we launched the basement backup protection program in 11 neighborhoods last year with federal funding to install backwater valves in people's sewer lines on their private property to help with backups. Because we did find folks in June 2021 that live in Jeff Chalmers, a handful of people, and in Warrendale on the west side that did not flood because they had a backwater valve that they didn't use their toilets or sinks during the rain, and it stopped any backup going into their home. Okay. It kept it in the sewer system.
I'm not under. So they couldn't use the bathroom, and that helped. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
during
not
the rain
understanding.
events, so a backwater valve has a flap in it. It's a valve that you put on your sewer line in your basement or in your backyard on your sewer line underground. And when you flush the toilet, the flap opens to let the sewage out. Or when you use your sinks, dishwashers, washer, and clothes washer. But in order to stop a sewage backup, the flap has to stay closed. So that means if you have a intense rain event is coming, you just don't use your drains or your toilet at that time. So the flap stays closed, and we know specifically of a handful of homes that had it in June 2021, and they had no water in their basement.
Well, that's great. They were under
Yeah.
orders then to do what to take those precautions to make.
Yeah,
sure
they
that
had
didn't happen.
suffered. Those folks had suffered in the 2014 flooding that we had. That was region wide. That was very bad. And they, after that, took it upon themselves to install the backwater valves because they didn't want to flood anymore. And they said that in June 21, they didn't have a backup into their basement because of that valve. So we took the basement backup program. We call it hardening the basements so we don't have sewage in people's basements. The federal funding, we pay for the entire cost. There's no money the homeowner has to pay for. And right now we've installed 200 valves at houses, mainly Jeff Chalmers and Aviation Sub over on the west side, over by Oakman and Joy Road area. And then some sump pumps too. And so we pay up to $6,000 per house. And we have 2,000 more houses that have applied that are in the program. In East English Village, Jeff Chalmers, Morningside, Garden View, and a few other neighborhoods that have high historic flooding in those neighborhoods.
What other neighborhoods qualify for the basement backup?
Yeah, so that program I was just talking about, there's 11 neighborhoods that qualify.
11.
Yep, you can go on the city website, detroitmi.gov, and just put in basement backup protection program or basement backup, and it'll pull up the page, and there's a map of the neighborhoods that shows there's about 6 on the east side that qualify and 5 on the west side that qualify. And based on historic backups over the last 6 to 8 years, we did a heat map to determine where are those neighborhoods, because while we have $6,000 per house, we're only able to get about $15 million in federal funding, so we have to define it to certain neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And these neighborhoods are like the ones that are usually worst hit. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Right.
Okay.
And are usually closer to the river. Lower
Oh,
east
okay.
side, west side closer to the Rouge River, where they tend to
Oh,
back
yeah.
up more.
Oh yeah, the Rouge River's flooding all the damn time. Yeah. Well, okay, you got any questions?
No, but let's do the station ID since we're paused a little bit.
All right.
You're watching Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like us, follow us, share us, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
Thank you, Char J, author of A Ain't Always for Apple, for that commercial break.
You are welcome.
And let me say this. Miss Virginia Starkey, fondly known simply as V, the proprietress of V's Boutique, offers a wide range of fine clothing and accessories for ladies. You can find all sizes of women's fine apparel in V's one-stop excellent customer service at V's Boutique for Ladies that you can't find anywhere else in Detroit anymore. V's is at 16423 East Warren Avenue. 16423 East Warren Avenue, right around the corner from one of the last libraries that's still open in the city of Detroit. We've got to get them open again. And right around the corner from the old Alger Theater.
Okay, I've got other stuff. The WJZZ Legacy Jazz Series tomorrow, Thursday, July. Nope, I'm sorry. This says Thursday, July 13th. Okay, I'm off. The Matt LaRusso Trio. This one is at the. Well, for questions and tickets, information call 313-631-2212. That's continuing our WJZZ Legacy Jazz Series. Okay, I see it because I can't read the small print. It's at the Aretha Jazz Cafe, which is downtown. Okay, at least that's where I think it is. So I can't see all of this, and I just got it. Then we also have, hold on, we have, this is the Larry Lee and the Back in the Day Band at the Recovery Park Farm. That is this Saturday. Tickets are $10. June 17th, 6 p.m. Recovery Park Farm, right across the street. What's the address here, John? Because I don't see it. If y'all don't give it to me.
Okay. 5407 or 5704.
Shane and Ferry, across the street at the farm.
Yeah, it's just south of Ferry Street on Shane.
Tickets are $10, and that's this Saturday, June 17th. Okay, because he just sent me that. Okay, we're good now.
Anyway, I remembered half that guy's name. His first name is Neil. So Neil, I'm giving you a pass for some reason. Oh, Neil Chapin. Neil Chapin is the gentleman, and I think he was in on the selection of the River House board, along with Heidi Simonato, who's the president of the board. And for some reason or other, they've been duped. They've been totally duped by Mr. McIntyre. Virginia Starkey and I are suing this board. We finally, they forced us to do it because they just won't call this special meeting that our bylaws require them legally to call. So we've been talking with a very good attorney, and hopefully we'll be able to get that meeting. But anyway, that's not what this situation that we're doing here is about. Let's talk a little bit more about water and sewerage in the city of Detroit, because we got Brian Peckinpah, who is the Public Affairs Director of the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department, and Alexis Ware, who works with him in that department, on the John Telford Detroit show today with Charlotte Jones, co-hosting with me. So let me ask this question. Are recent water main breaks due to heat and dry weather that is caused by aging infrastructure? Is that what's causing this?
Well, we do have aging infrastructure. Our water mains are 90 years old or older. We started a capital improvement program, more advanced program, in 2018. And so we're going neighborhood by neighborhood and assessing the water mains. We flush the hydrants, do leak sound checks, and they go through every street in the neighborhood. They take all that data and assess what needs to be replaced. So we are seeing a little bit of a drop in water main breaks. In the winter, we were actually down to 0 for a couple weeks, which is unheard of. 0 breaks. So last week in early June, with the dry weather, we had at one point 24 consecutive days of dry weather. There's a lot of water usage, and normally on a given day there's 633 million gallons of water used, pushed out through the system, and it was up to 700 million gallons. So imagine when you already have aging water pipes and you push 70 more million gallons of water per day and through those pipes, some of them popped. So we had 40 water main breaks over the weekend, 2 weeks ago, the first weekend in June. And we were able to repair all those within 5 days. We prioritized by those without water first. Those were the priority. The major thoroughfares where there was a water main break on Gratiot Avenue. And then we got to the other breaks. But
Yeah, I remember that when I was driving through it, matter of fact.
Oh, on Gratiot?
Over on Gratiot, yeah. Good
Yeah.
Now, this
So-
isn't one of your questions, but let me ask you this. Do you think the public's opinion of the water department is a bad one? Is that why you guys are trying to reach out and...
Well, we think that, yeah, it's over the years it hasn't been favorable, especially in the city and some of the suburbs, of course, when we ran the regional part of the system. But we've done a lot of work to educate about what we're doing and launching these historic programs like Lifeline Plan, the city's first true income-based water affordability plan, and the basement backup protection program, and to replace lead service lines, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before we have a issue, we proactively replacing lead service lines. But we do a lot of customer education too, though, so we know that we made improvements. We provide more access to our accounts. We allow people to turn on their water service or turn it off, establish an account. We allow them to do that online now. We allow them to request real estate closing reads online. You don't have to call us for everything or come into a building.
Office.
Our customer service centers have been in person, have been closed since the pandemic started, and there's no reason to reopen them because all of our services have gone all remotely. We have a very voice activated phone service. We have kiosks throughout the city that you can pay DWSD property taxes as well. And we have the portal, which is mobile friendly, and people can use to set up auto pay or even enroll on a payment plan.
Well,
on the
Auto pay is not the public's friend, just so you know. It's not. That's not a good thing. And then you have a lot of seniors, though. All those things that you mentioned, those aren't really convenient for seniors or people that are not digital or computer literate. Some people don't. I know I have several friends that just don't like the computer. They try to go find somewhere, and then they end up paying their bill at like the supermarket, and then they get charged a fee. So all those things you guys think are convenient or wonderful, the public doesn't really think that they're wonderful. Okay, no.
Understandable. That's why we're trying to let folks know that you can call in to pay too. You can ask a representative to help you do it, or you can pay with the automated system, or you can go to a kiosk. The DivDebt kiosks are free, so you can pay cash, credit, debit card, or check or money order on those kiosks. And there's no service. DWSD, unlike other water utilities in the suburbs, we don't charge for credit card payments. So if you pay us directly, there's no service fee for paying with credit card or debit card.
We don't have that in Harper Woods either. We don't pay
Oh, that's good.
for that.
Yeah.
What are the next steps for the basement backup protection program?
Well, we finished phase 1, which is really the pilot phase, to figure out any kinks in the program, because this is the first time we've launched it. There's only a few cities in North America that have a similar program, and Windsor has a backwater valve program, but it's a reimbursement. The homeowner is supposed to get the plumber and do all the back end work. Our program, we contract with the plumbers. The city does. We pay the plumbers. We schedule the work. We schedule the inspections, the estimates, the work with the homeowner's availability. So now we're going to move to phase 2, which is this summer, which are the rest of the neighborhoods. And the thing that we're going to add, thanks to additional funding that we're working on getting from the Housing and Urban Development Department from DC, about $60 million, is to replace people's sewer lines going out the back of their house.
Oh, yes.
We have a lot of, obviously, aging housing stock in Detroit.
We sure do.
Not only are there aging water mains, but there's also aging sewer lines attached to the houses that are private responsibility. But how many people really have $20,000 to fix a sewer line if it collapses in your backyard? That's why we have all these sinkholes in backyards, because the sewer line's collapsing off the city sewer main. So we were able to secure HUD money. We're waiting for a final confirmation that we can use it for this purpose.
HUD, Housing and Urban Development.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're waiting for that money to be confirmed. It's already been allocated to Detroit. We just need HUD to verify that we can use it for sewer lateral service line replacement on private property. And so that would help address 2,000 to 5,000, depending on how much money they approve, houses, not only for the backwater valves, but also to replace their sewer service line, because in phase 1 of the basement backup program, we found about 40% of the houses that signed up for the program, and Jeff Chalmers and Aviation Sub had collapsed sewer lines or cracked sewer lines on their property.
Aviation Sub on the west side?
Yeah, Aviation Sub is Oakman and Joy area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Over by old Mackenzie High School.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that Detroit and Windsor are doing this, which is badly needed. I think that some other cities in the United States better start thinking about it too, because and they need to imitate what Detroit is doing, because despite what Trump has said, global warming is a realistic fact, and it's going to get worse. And as municipalities get warmer and drier, this is going to happen more and more often, despite, again, what Donald Trump says. He's running again. I can't believe the man's running again, and they're letting him do it, but that's a whole other topic. I might say a couple words about that.
He has a little bit of an ego.
Oh my boy, it's more. No, the man is a pathological narcissist. Donald Trump cares about one person on Earth, Donald Trump. And if any of these Retrumplicans think that he gives a damn about them, they've got 80 other things coming, because it doesn't. That does not pan out. This man is the worst thing that has happened to this country probably since Jefferson Davis and the Civil War. I mean, I see it as that serious. And I'm going off again on this topic, but I had 4 uncles in World War II. They all came home safely, thank God. My godfather was one of them. My mother's brother, my Uncle Jimmy. But the young man who lived in my neighborhood, one of my neighbors, died on the beach at Normandy. He did not come home. And now you've got these Retrumplicans that are ready to turn this country over to a fascist regime without a shot being fired. And I know I'm going off, and I shouldn't be going off, so I'll talk a little bit more if we have time at the end. But
well, going back to Dr. Telford, going back to the climate change, we realize that's occurring whether your political beliefs or not. Well, we all saw it in June 2021 and then 2014. But also, we took upon ourselves to engage with Chris Edwards, who he's a meteorologist. Okay. Used to be with Channel 7 and Fox 2.
Yeah, I remember him.
He's going to community presentations with us and sharing the facts, the scientific facts, not the political facts.
Right.
The scientific facts, and his data shows the trend for Detroit, specifically in Michigan, precipitation going up and more intense events And even in the winter, we don't see as much snow, but there's still more rain, more freezing rain, more precipitation on an annual basis. So we're working with him to try to see the trends so we can plan better for improvements.
You're watching the Dr. John Telford Detroit Show, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. What do you want people to know, and how do they reach out for some of your programs? A couple minutes, sum it up for me.
We sure can. Thank you. First of all, the DWSD Lifeline Plan, Detroit's first income-based plan. You can apply for that plan. If you are a low-income household, you can call 313-386-9727, 313-386-9727, or go to waynemetro.org and click on the Lifeline Plan. You can apply online, waynemetro.org. For the Basement Backup Protection Program, you can go to detroitmi.gov and search for Basement Backup Protection. And you can also look at DWSD, detroitmi.gov/DWSD, for our other programs and our schedule of upgrades in different neighborhoods for water and sewer system, as well as if you want assistance on your account or to pay by phone, 313-267-8000. 313-267-8000. We made major improvements in customer service, so our wait time used to be, historically, a lot of talk in the town about it, used to be in the 40-minute range. Now it's down to 2 minutes because of our improvements. So
when you say low income, you mean on the basic the standard that they have, or is it? Hold on, I don't want this to play. Or the standard that it is. I can't think what
200% of the federal poverty level or below, which for a family of four is about $54,000.
Okay. All right.
Annual income.
You have something you want to say towards the end? No more questions.
Well, there's just one. Mayor Duggan and DWSD, the Detroit Water and Sewers Department, they're replacing 5,000 lead service lines this year. I understand they're going to do that.
Yeah,
lead service.
Mayor Duggan and Director Gary Brown of DWSD launched the Accelerated Lead Service Line Replacement Program in Claytown in Southwest Detroit a couple of weeks ago in late May. And we are going to replace 5,000 lead service lines this year and start replacing 10,000 beginning next year with federal money. Thank goodness for the federal funding for infrastructure. We want to replace all of them before there's a action level of lead in Detroit. Let's get the lead out now before it's a problem. Our water is currently safe, some of the best in the world.
Yes.
That's why Fago and Pepsi use it.
That's right.
We used to go to water conventions, and we used to get to say that. They used to take us to water conventions all the time when I worked for water. All right, that's it. Gonna do it for us. We're out of here. You've been listening to the John Telford Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford and co-host Charlotte Jones on WJZZ Detroit Internet Television, coming to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Contact Dr. Telford at 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Or at Dr. John Telford, EDD, at AOL.com. That's DRJOHNTELFORDEDD at AOL.com. To sponsor or appear on this show, or to get signed copies of his book, which Hill Perkins, Jeffrey Feiger, and Dr. Wayne Dyer all call spellbinding and sensational. It was the late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer who said, Dr. John Telford has a warrior's heart and a poet's soul. Read Dr. Telford's commentaries on the schools and other vital topics in the Telford Telescope column in the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. And also hear him on his other station.